Hello everyone. Today we are going to see a very interesting case study. We are going to know about Indian General Elections 2019, which is a very good example of event management and supply chain management. So let's get started. The Indian General Elections 2019 is conducted for 543 seats and a total of 900 million voters would be eligible to cast their vote in this election. Now, how much exactly is 900 million? Let's see. Here on my screen, you can see that I have the list of all the countries and their population. This list is arranged in ascending order. If you go down the list, you will see that the numbers are increasing. So at the top of the list, we have Vatican City, which has a population of 801. And as you go down, you can see the numbers are increasing. And at the very bottom, you have China at rank 1, India at rank 2, and United States at rank 3. Now let's go back to the top of our list. Now if we start adding these numbers, and after we have added the numbers of 179 countries, the number comes to 883 million, which is still less than 900 million. So in other words, the total number of voters that are eligible to vote in this election is more than the combined population of 179 countries. So you can imagine how massive this event is. Many of us can't even think of organizing such a big event. So how many polling stations are going to be used for such an event? The Election Commission of India, the topmost body responsible for conducting elections in the country, has set up 1 million polling stations all over the country, which means on an average there will be 900 voters per polling station. Now, the next consideration is manpower. Organizing such an event at large scale requires a lot of manpower, and the Election Commission of India has only 300 full time employees. So, how they are able to organize this event? Well, they hire temporary staff from different government offices all over the country. Temporary members are going to help Election Commission to organize this event successfully. So what are the numbers? How many are required approximately? Let's say a polling station needs 5 people and there are 1 million polling stations. So on an average, the total requirement will be of 5 million people. Next is the security. As you know, for any elections, security is one of the prime considerations. And organizing security for 1 million polling stations is a huge and mammoth task. That's why the Election Commission divides the entire process into 7 different phases. Splitting the process in 7 different phases makes it a bit easier to manage the entire event. So, what's the starting point of this event? Well, approximately 4 to 5 months before the Election Commission starts its process. They visit and survey the entire country, which is more than 3 million square kilometers, to identify the requirements of every polling station. They also analyze the security measures to be taken at few areas which are considered sensitive. They also use the data from the previous election to identify what went wrong previously that can be rectified in the next election. After a great deal of data collection, analysis, and discussion, the final report is prepared. Approximately 1 month before the elections, the Election Commission declares the dates and they also inform the number of phases. On an average, it takes 40 to 50 days to complete all the phases. The next big task of Election Commission is to train the manpower that are involved in this process. Training 5 million people is a huge task and the entire responsibility of training them is on the Election Commission of India. Apart from that, arranging 1 million voting machines and sending them to the correct location at the correct time is also the responsibility of Election Commission. So you can see that everything happens exactly on time, or you can say just in time. The temporary staff that are hired for this process, they are supposed to undergo a 2 or 3 days training program. During the training, they are trained on different aspects of the election process, like how to operate the voting machines, how to verify the voters, how to do the documentation process, and most importantly, what to do in case of an emergency situation. On last day of the training, the groups are made according to the polling stations. Some manpower is kept on reserve so that if someone is absent on the day of election, then they can send the officials from this reserved pool. Similarly, Some amount of voting machines are also kept in reserve so that on election day, if some voting machine is not functioning properly, then it can be replaced with a new one. Different polling stations have a different set of candidates, and feeding correct data to 1 million voting machines is itself a very big task, which Election Commission completes very efficiently. Now, what exactly happens on the election day? Approximately 24 hours before election begins, the officials involved in the process report to the distribution and collection center, where they are given everything that is required to set up polling station and to conduct the elections. Like they are given the voting machines, the required documents, stationery items. After receiving all these items, they tally their list to find out whether they have everything that is required for the process. After this, they are escorted by security force to the polling station, and after reaching the polling station, they set up the entire space and make it ready for the election process. This includes checking and setting up the voting machine, identifying the place where the voters will be verified, the entry points, the exit points, etc. All these things are happening one day before the elections. So the officials would be spending the night at the polling station only. But wait, it's not that simple. There are many polling stations in India where it is not possible to reach in one day. There are many remote areas located in deep forests, islands, deserts, where the team is sent at least 2 or 3 days in advance so that they can reach the place on time. Some polling stations are at such remote locations that they do not have even a proper road connectivity, and the election officials have to travel on elephants to reach that place. Approximately, there are 80,000 polling stations that do not have a mobile network connectivity. So you can see how difficult it is to conduct elections at such remote locations. Election officials are given the facility of walkie-talkie so that they can update their progress in a timely manner. Now comes the day of election. The voting begins at 7 a.m. in the morning and it normally goes on till 5 p.m. in the evening. This time can be altered a bit. So the process can start a bit earlier in the morning or it can go on little further in the evening. It all depends upon the local factors of that particular polling station. Now let's do a quick approximation. As we have seen earlier that every polling station has approximately 900 voters and the duration from 7 in the morning to 5 in the evening is approximately 10 hours, which is 600 minutes. So it means 900 voters have to cast their votes in just 600 minutes. Now let's say only 70% of the voters turn up for the election. So it means 630 voters are going to cast their vote in 600 minutes. You can see approximately every voter has just about 1 minute to complete the entire process. So you can imagine how fast the process is. The election officials on duty have to work very fast and very efficiently to complete the entire process by 5 p.m. in the evening. Now imagine the same process being repeated in over 1 million polling stations. So it's a kind of miracle that is being done on such a massive scale. This is one of the biggest events that the country organizes. In the evening, when the voting process ends, election official seals the voting machine. They do the required documentation, they pack up the things, and finally they are ready to go. The security personnel again escort them back to the collection and distribution center where they deposit all the items that they have collected the previous day. The distribution center is now receiving hundreds and thousands of voting machines on that day, and it becomes the responsibility of election commission to keep all those voting machines in a safe place at a secure location. There are more than 500 districts in India, and approximately every district has a designated secure location where these voting machines are kept till the time the counting begins. These voting machines are transported to the counting center just one day before the counting date. On an average, every district has a counting center. The counting process begins at 7 a.m. in the morning, and after approximately every hour, the data is updated on the Election Commission of India website. By the time the process of counting ends, it can be midnight or even beyond that. But normally by 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. in the afternoon, everyone has an approximate idea how many seats different parties have got. Now comes the important factor, the finance. How much money is required to conduct such a massive event? The estimated cost of general elections 2019 is approximately 700 million US dollars, which in Indian rupees is approximately 5,000 crores. So today we saw a case study about elections in India. For more such videos, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.